This is the Decibel Geek Podcast with Aaron Camaro and Chris Sinzak.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Decibel Geek Podcast. I'm Chris Sinzak. He's Aaron Camaro, and we are officially at episode number 50.
It's a celebration here at the Decibel Geek Podcast.
I got to thank, those of you that listen and respond to the show on the Facebook page, on facebook.com/DecibelGeek, and send us the great emails. If it wasn't for the response we get, we probably wouldn't be nearly as motivated to do it.
Absolutely not. I mean, when we first started doing this, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I never really thought about episode 50 or anything like that. I was just like, wow, every week we'd come out with something new, and it was good enough, and we were getting such a good response about it that I was just thinking week to week to week. But yet here we are at episode 50, and it feels pretty good.
I was still trying to figure out how to mix shows at that point, and just hoping like crazy that I'd be able to get the episode out on time. That was the big thing.
And we've had some great friends join us along the way, like people like Eddie Trunk and Loretta Caravella and Lydia Chris and Russ Dwarf, and the list goes on and on of the great people that have taken the time to come on the show with us.
Yeah.
And that pretty much leads us up to where we're at today. And boy, oh boy, do we got a treat for the listeners.
Yeah. Before we get into today's guest, we have to do Geek of the Week. That's standard. And
I'm excited though.
Yeah, this is definitely. I agree, but this is definitely an Aaron Camaro centric Geek of the Week.
Yeah, for sure. I love this one. Let's. Yeah, we're talking about our Geek of the Week this week, and I chose this guy. I really did. It's Matt Ashcroft. And Ashcraft.
Yeah.
And he sent a pretty cool message on the Facebook talking about last week's Radio Sucks radio show, and basically he said all the songs that I picked were awesome. And I agree.
I do too.
Therefore, you've been chosen as the Geek of the Week.
Yeah, he had some really good comments to say, and he just mentioned off all these songs that he loved from the show.
And they just so happen to be all the songs that I picked.
They were all of Aaron's songs, which I like them too,
right.
Especially the Faith No More track. I hadn't heard that song in years, so it was fun to hear that one again.
I picked a lot of great songs that day, I got to say.
So modest. But, Matt, enjoy being Geek of the Week. Your Monopoly money's on its way.
The power, the glory, the prestige, and all that goes along with it.
Yeah. So enjoy that, and tell your friends. Everybody, even if you're not Geek of the Week, tell your friends.
That's right. And always check us out, www.dbgeekshow.blogspot.com, where we are making a worldwide music audience. Oh, no. See, damn it. Oh, son of a bitch.
I'm totally leaving that in, too.
Damn it. You should.
Should you? So
what is it? What is it?
Building a local music scene with a worldwide audience.
I don't know why I always get that backwards.
I have a few more brain cells than you do.
Maybe.
Granted, it's not much either way, but
yeah. What?
All right. Well,
where are we?
So
episode 50. No way.
Episode 50, and for episode 50, we're pretty proud of ourselves. We got to interview somebody that we both look up to quite a bit, and
a little shocked and amazed, but proud.
Today's guest is Bruce Kulick, and this is not the typical Bruce Kulick, phone-in interview that you're going to hear. Not that those aren't enjoyable too. I was going to ask him last year even, and then it kind of hit me. I was like, just maybe Grand Funk will come through Nashville at some point.
And sure enough.
And I was like, I want to hold out for the in-person interview.
Yeah.
And it sure enough happened.
And
it finally happened a couple weeks ago.
Bruce invited us up to the hotel room. We got to hang out. We videotaped it, and I don't know when that's coming out, but somewhere down the line, you guys
some of that'll
will
be
out
on the YouTube channel when we start building that up. But yeah, we emptied his mini bar, and we had a great time talking to him. And he couldn't have been nicer. He was in town, as you know. Grand Funk Railroad was in town to play a festival here in Nashville, and he was actually. We were actually doing it in the room next door to his room, and it was the room of a guy who is a boutique guitar manufacturer from Alabama, a guy named Wes Bentley from a company called Rebel Guitars. You can go to rebel-guitars.com, and Bruce was actually there trying out this really cool red, white, and blue Flying V that Wes had built.
Yeah, if you're a player, check out that website. You can really appreciate some of the fine guitars he's got on there, and he's got some pretty cool ones.
Yeah, some sweet stuff.
If you find it on there, that night he was playing around with red, white, and blue Flying V, which was just an amazing sounding guitar. He didn't even have it plugged in, and it sounded great.
Yeah, wound up using it that night at the Nashville show for We're an American Band.
Yep, that's Rebel Dash Guitars for you players out there. Want to check that out? I highly recommend it.
Yeah, so check that out. But yeah, Bruce was great. I asked him a lot of very geeky questions, and Aaron was there.
I just kind of hung out and enjoyed the whole thing. I mean, it was pretty interesting event.
I think we were both pretty starstruck. So
it was cool.
It was fun, and I'll just share this one thing I told Aaron that day. It was a trip, because just a block away from where we did this interview at the hotel is where there used to be a record store. It was kind of a record comic book memorabilia place called The Great Escape, which they've moved since then. But they were a block away from this hotel. And in 1988, when I was like 12, 13 years old, actually almost 12. I went to this place and I got my first Kiss cassette tapes. I got the Ace Frehley solo album, I got Dynasty, and I got Crazy Nights.
Nice.
So I was like, I picked up, because those of you who know, I'll happily admit that Crazy Nights was my introduction to Kiss. I picked up Crazy Nights on cassette, and I'm like, this many years later, a block away, I'm interviewing the guy that played guitar on the album.
Well, that's the thing. Imagine if you'd have come walking out that day with your Kiss cassettes in your hand and someone had said, hey, see that hotel right up the street? In the year 2012, you're going to be interviewing Bruce Kulick.
Thank God I didn't buy New Kids on the Block cassette tape, right? It'd be a much different podcast right now, wouldn't it?
Someday you will be made fun of on a show called the Decibel Geek Podcast.
Yeah, that happens all the time. But, yeah, so...
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. But,
well, hey, before we get into the interview, and it's a lot of fun, we're chomping at the bit to get to it, I want to take a quick minute to throw some props to the people that are helping us keep our website rocking.
Yeah.
And these guys have really put it together and put together some great just articles and stuff they're writing and putting up on the website that I aforementioned earlier.
Yeah, headed up by our good buddy Wally Norton in Canada.
Yeah.
He's really taken the reins, and he's done a great job, kind of rounding up new writers for the site, and and he puts out great content of his own. He's gotten great interviews. He did one with Vinny Appice and Rex Brown from Kill Devil Hill recently. And there's more to come, but then
you remember way back when we said, hey, you want to write for us?
Yeah.
Here's a great way for you to just drop our names, and all of a sudden, you're kind of like with the press, sort of, if you play it right.
Yeah.
And Wally's done exactly that, and he's gotten himself in with some pretty cool interviews and stuff. And the door is always open for that if you're interested. Here's a cool story, and we got this lady, young lady named Cynthia Johnson, who just recently started writing for us. And, I caught a little bit of her talking on Facebook about how she always wanted to be a writer. But, of course, things happen. Life gets in the way sometimes. It happens to the best of us. And she wasn't ever able to really follow up on that until now. Now she's writing for the Decibel Geek podcast, and she's come out with a couple of articles already. I read one about Motley Crue she did.
Yeah.
That was really good. And the Whitesnake one she wrote was pretty awesome.
I really like that one.
Yeah, that one was really good. And, I think that's really cool that, rock and roll and hard rock and the Decibel Geek podcast, and, that's what it's all about. Everybody coming together and becoming a part of it, and the listeners are always welcome to do that as well.
Yeah, and the other writers are doing great, too. We got, Andrew, we got Brian Martin, and then we also, he posts as the Meister, but his name's Rich, and Rich and Wally are, like, really tight. They're like, kind of like the Canadian version of you and me. So,
nice.
And they're actually going to both be going...
So that means they're cooler than we are.
Yeah, probably are. They're actually going to the Toronto Kiss show soon, and they'll be both doing reports on the show. So it should be interesting to read that. But those guys are killing it.
Yeah, all you guys keep up the great work. You're killing it over there. We love it.
So it's time to go ahead and start talking to Bruce.
I think so. Let's take it right now. This is the Decibel Geek podcast, and we're hanging out with Bruce Kulick.
Some of the rooms we get on, don't they? Yeah, that would definitely not look good. Yeah, it wouldn't look good.
Getting intimate with Bruce Kulick.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're all good.
So we're good?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, being that we're the official Andrea True Connection podcast, I wanted to go ahead. No, I'm just
Second person to mention Andrea True today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought we would be the only one today.
And that never comes up, but that's okay.
Well, I'm trying to pull out a rabbit out of the hat here.
Yeah.
Andrea's from Nashville, actually.
Oh yeah, and I didn't know that actually because she lived in New York when I was working with her, and
Yeah.
I knew she wasn't a New Yorker, but I didn't know where. Okay.
Have you seen that fantastic video on YouTube of you playing lead for her?
I probably posted it.
Oh, probably. She throws the confetti on you.
Yeah. Yes. It's pretty funny.
How did you get that gig?
Well, back in the kind of like early to mid '70s, I was getting out there gigging, and not I wouldn't call it yet the professional, kind of really big stuff, but we had an agent, the cover band that I had. And back then it was like, let's just do top 40 hits. And that back then that meant you could do a Steely Dan song, a Stevie Wonder song, and then you may be doing some disco songs too.
Yeah.
You know, I remember doing Breezing by George Benson, you know, and Reeling in the Years, you know.
Yeah.
But we'd also have to cover some of the dance hits. I mean, that got always a little grating because I wasn't too fond of the disco era, obviously.
Sure.
But you got to play what's popular.
Exactly, and we were, you know, with a nice, you know, kind of suit, you know, doing some decent venues in the tri-state area of New York.
Right.
But this man, the agent actually wound up first managing George McRae. And actually, George McRae came first. Okay, so George McRae had "Rocky Baby," "Woman, Take Me in Your Arms,"
Sure,
"Rocky Baby,"
sure.
right, which was written by Casey and the Sunshine Band. And I got actually first to tour and leave America and go to Canada and play in Europe for the first time. You know, and I was young. That would have been 75, so I was like 22. It was very exciting. I went to Germany and all these places, and we played from big arenas to like a beer hall. You know what I mean? In Germany, you know, he was a star. And then he wound up picking up, I think, Andrea. So after that was done, and George took some time off to do another record, he approached some of the same people from the band to do Andrea. Except this time, actually, he needed, like that time, I forget how I got that gig, but I was the only one, you know what I mean? And then somehow he needed an entire band to back up Andrea. And I think the whole band wound up doing it. You know what I mean? Because we were, like I said, we were a band out there, and I had a terrific singer. No, we didn't have dancers and everything. And then with her thing, it had to look like, you know, kind of lame, but you know, whatever. You had 2 girls and 2 guys in the horn section. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we toured, and again, for me, then I was always seeing myself as the lead rock guitarist, but who's versatile to fit into anything.
Sure.
You know?
Right.
And it was actually at one of either those gigs or the George McRae gigs that I met Lou Reed, I met Brian May and the drummer from Queen, you know, who'd show up at some clubs where I'm doing these gigs, you know what I mean?
cool.
So, you know, it's never a bad thing, even if you're not doing exactly what you totally love, because clearly I was into, you know, classic rock or the British Invasion and not really disco, but there was even gigs I did with George McRae with my brother because he had a quiet summer and he was actually already ahead of me and more networked and used to work more than me. But we did like the Chitlin circuit, they call it, you know, with George McRae. And man, you know, we play a club in, you know, the middle of nowhere in Florida. Guy's like got a gun. He said, "You better be good," you know, because we were two white guys. You know, you're like, ah, you know, and you know what? We used to open up the set with instrumentals from like what Jeff Beck was doing back then in the middle of the 70s. You know what I mean? So we play things from Blow by Blow. It was kind of weird,
Very
but
cool.
fun.
Yeah,
you know?
that's cool. And you were gone by the time she put the third album out in '80, right?
Yeah.
But I thought it was ironic in research that the album was called War Machine.
Oh, that is interesting. I didn't know that. You know, but I think she worked. You know, she kind of got together with someone named, I think his name was Greg Diamond, and the guy was a good songwriter. And she was probably dating him or whatever. You know, and then next thing you know, here, sing this. You know, and just like for George McRae, you had Casey and the Sunshine Band handing him songs. He used to like work at the studio. I think he was a janitor. You know what I mean? It was kind of weird. But if you have access to the right song and then your voice is in some way unique and complements it, off you go. And it was pretty remarkable. She had a hit. That was interesting. She was able to break through with that.
Right. And now, and this was this before Meatloaf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was after that I said to my brother, I want to do a rock gig. I was really tired of the kind of nebulous, but you got to remember disco was the biggest thing then.
Sure.
You know, it really was. So it was right after that Meatloaf started to be being put together,
right.
and they needed guitarists. And my brother got the call, and then he brought me in, and that's
now,
how we went.
Did you see the movie that VH1 wound up putting out about the Bat Out of Hell period? Did you see the dramatization?
Yeah. Some of that was right, and some of it wasn't. But it was still, it was a fascinating time. I mean, to see him, you know, kind of go from this. Nobody wanted to sign him, you know, and he had a very unique thing. Jim Steinman was clearly had a vision and was an amazing songwriter, and he still has gotten awards and everything, and was able to write for other artists too. But they definitely had a thing, and it was pretty weird. But But I know what they needed with Todd Rundgren producing the record. Got to realize that I was exposed to him once the record was done and everything, and they needed a touring band. So I loved Todd Rundgren. I was always a big fan.
Yeah.
My brother less so, and that's why he was very happy that like, well, my brother will learn those parts and I'll just play off of the other parts, you know. So it was a challenge, but it was a big band. But man, we went from being booed off the stage with Cheap Trick, opening up in Chicago, to, you know, arenas and selling out and being on Saturday Night Live and touring the world. It was crazy.
Right on.
Well, speaking of your brother, and I know a million people know the story about Bob trying out for Kiss in '73.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific memory of him doing that tryout, or did he say anything like these guys? Or was it just
I don't
another
know.
thing?
I think it was just another thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they made it that Bob ran into Paul at like what was called Bell Sound, which was a pretty popular studio, and Bob was doing stuff like Lou Reed or whatever. And it was interesting and ironic that, of course, at some point they needed somebody to help out, and Bob was on the short list. So,
Very cool.
You know. But no, it wasn't like, oh my God, you should have seen this band. You got to remember,
Right.
they weren't in makeup or nothing.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And the fact that he might have crossed paths with Ace that day didn't mean that, he would even mention it to me. They were nobody.
Sure.
You know,
Right.
It was
It was
just another
just
audition
another
from the
audition.
Village Voice, you know,
Right.
whatever.
Right. Well, and now it's kind of hard to believe that that you've now been with Grand Funk longer than you were with.
Almost longer.
Almost
yeah.
longer
We're
than
getting
with
there.
Kiss. You're right
By
up-
next
you're
year, it
right-
will
That's
be.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it doesn't feel like you've been gone from Kiss for that long.
Well, yes and no. I mean, because Kiss is still out there, and still things that I was involved with still get some, radio play or notice online and elsewhere. Obviously, I'm part of that. When they shine, it still shines on me, so I'm okay with all that. But Grand Funk, even though we're more under the radar because it's not promoted and hyped like the way Gene and Paul can hype Kiss, we're out there doing what we do, which is 30 to 50 gigs a year, and they're not on tour with a bus or flying with your own jet. They're fly-in dates actually with a. I mean, I have tons of guitars on each backline truck, and they meet us and it's not a huge production like Kiss, but it's about the music. That era was that was predating when the bands needed to like go out there with like the giant show, know.
Right.
And that's kind of what we do, and it's always a pleasure to start out with the people not really sure what they're seeing. They know the name, and then just like them wanting us not to leave, you know what I mean? So it's been a good 12 years. I can't complain.
Now, were you a fan of Grand Funk from the old days?
Yeah. I was, I did not see them live, but I was aware of them from TV shows and things, and I had a few of the records. What I was most impressed with was stuff like Inside Looking Out. I remember that making a big impression when I was young and thinking. I never loved Mark, even though I have a lot of respect for Mark Farner, so I should say that. And I've worked with him too with the Fantasy Camp, I wasn't a fan of his guitar tone, okay, but he was purposely not trying to be like some of the British guitarists. You see what I mean? He knew what Clapton and Beck and Hendrix. All right, Hendrix wasn't British, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Broken Britain,
Kind of adopted British.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what those guys sounded like are Jimmy Page, and he purposely went the other way, especially with those like weird guitars, And then he used the Electro Harmonics fuzz pedal, you know what I mean, which was not really the sound of the British guys. They were cranking up the amps more, So, but I was well aware of what they were doing, and I always was very impressed, especially Mel's bass lines. I love lead bass players, like Jack Bruce and Paul McCartney, and there was, Mel with this like monster bass distorted sound that was crazy, and then Don just being like this incredible powerhouse with the crazy afro, So how could I not know their band?
Sure.
You know what I mean? I was a fan. I was well aware of them selling out Shea Stadium and all that. And I was aware of the reunion tour and everything. The more, the like 5 years or 4 years before, this thing was put together in late '99. And I watched them on TV. I remember I didn't go to the Greek Theater, but I heard about the gig. I knew Slash was there, and I was aware of what was going on. I even used to cover some of their songs with Eric when we jam.
Oh, really?
With Eric Singer. So I knew about the band.
Yeah. So do you guys still get fans? Do you get fans now coming up that are discovering it through The Simpsons?
Well, certainly that name has gotten a lot of interesting mentions between being played in The Sopranos to The Simpsons thing.
Homer's favorite band.
Yeah. But really, it's interesting when I tell people who I'm working with. sometimes I don't get a reaction. It's and it can even go like I'll say I'm with Kiss. Now everyone knows Kiss, we know that. But sometimes they'll be like they're not a fan, they don't care. Or I'll go, you're with Graham Funk? Oh my God, I'll get that. And then of course there's many times I'll get, of course they know Kiss, and they go like, Graham Funk, yeah, it's a classic rock band, yeah. Some kind of wonderful, and they go like, oh, right, we're an American band.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's a disconnect with that band. With the song.
Yeah,
with
it was
the,
more
with the,
known for the song than for the name, I guess.
And I think a lot of that also was that they went away for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even this version of the band, it's not like a marketing machine behind it like Kiss.
I can't
but
find a
Kiss
Grand
always
Funk
is,
lunchbox anywhere.
No, it probably isn't. No. I mean, the band has merchandise, but it's a little more low key. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So no action figures on the
No,
ride?
no Grand Funk coffin. No monster book. No.
Oh, okay. Any comment on the monster book while I have you?
Well, it's pretty huge, and it's a bit expensive. I have to say, I'm a little surprised that it doesn't cover anything but makeup. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And I don't know why. If you're going to have a book, I can understand if you're just covering the reunion tour. You're covering, the last 10 years, but I know that was a conscious decision that they made. Otherwise, it may have been inconsistent. But it would have been nice if one page, knowing how big they were, could be one page here, one page there. You know what I mean?
The book is
of
big
whatever.
Enough, there's
yeah.
room enough
It's
for
like the couch
everybody.
you're sitting on.
Yeah.
So, but look, I don't run or control what they create. Of
course not.
Yeah.
So I feel a little, like perplexed by it, but. I guess they wanted a consistent theme there, but it's no mystery that the band didn't wear makeup for 13 years.
Right.
That's taking a big piece of history and just trying to, like that never happened. With that book, it's so huge. I mean,
I don't get it.
Some of the best Kiss music came out in those years.
Yeah,
I
thank
agree.
you.
You can't turn a blind eye to that.
No, but again, the way they market themselves is another
Right.
thing, which is why a lot of times I get asked the question, well, what do you think about if they took the makeup off and did a, like Revenge Era thing?
Yeah.
Well, I would love to do that, but I just think their approach to everything is that iconic, makeup thing and branding that, and which is why I think Paul's able to say, even though I still don't completely get it, but say things like, I'm replaceable,
And now, Deep Thoughts with Gene Simmons.
I like Burger King. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but when I hear someone tell me that their motto is, have it your way, I take them at their word. But apparently trying to join the 6-foot-high club at the drive-thru window wasn't what they meant. Personally, I think the guy was just pissed because I messed up his wife's uniform. Stick that in your Happy Meal.
Listen to the Decibel Geek podcast on your iPhone, Android phone, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones with Stitcher. Stitcher's smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Hi, this is Bruce Kulick. No, it really is Bruce Kulick, and you're listening to the Decibel Geek podcast, the best.
Well, let me ask you this while I have you here, because you appeared on a friend of mine's show, The Kiss Room, a couple of months back, and in that interview,
Where's he from?
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's like a Montco radio,
Right,
and
right.
Frank Hagen interviewed you for
Right.
that show.
I know the name.
In that interview, I don't know if you're aware of the reaction this caused, but you had mentioned that
I said something about Ace, maybe.
Ace trying to get back into
Yeah.
Kiss and them saying no, and then of course that caused a whole uproar.
I
People
know,
saying,
I
where
know.
did Bruce hear this, and how does he know?
And believe me, I mean, I'm not going to give sources, but
Sure.
when you know of people, like keeping in touch, when there's no real reason to keep in touch, unless maybe you're trying to, befriend them again. In the same way that when Peter came back, well, Gene asked him to do something for the magazine that he had, Tongue, if you remember that magazine.
Yeah, I remember
Short-lived
that.
magazine.
Yeah, I remember that
Next thing you
interview.
know, the promoters need 3 original Kiss members, and all of a sudden, Eric, you're going to have to sit this one out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I really just think, I'm not saying I know for the fact that Ace said to anyone anything, meaning Gene or Paul,
Yeah.
but I know that there was definite communication, and I got to think that, again, because I don't know for a fact, I just got to think that, he was looking to see if there was any desire.
He's
Right.
putting his toe in the water.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
testing
I mean, I think it's wonderful for all those guys to keep in touch in whatever way they do, and they should. And then again, on the other hand, I have to admit, I'm not sure, and as much as I respect Ace's decision to not be in the band, and that it just got uncomfortable, he got tired of it. It was only supposed to be so long, and now it's I don't
means farewell.
Yeah, and it's time for me to do another record, which was a good record, Anomaly. But then again, I in the big picture of things, I go, how could you not want to be in Kiss? I mean, it's just you're an icon in that makeup and that gig, because he's still out there touring. Where Peter's decision was very clear. You know? I mean, for Peter, I'm a little old. I don't want to deal with this. It's hard, And he made his money. If you make that money that second time, if you're smart, you'll live comfortably the rest of your life. And God bless Peter. I really think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to be okay, and he doesn't actually have to work, and he can tell a story. I hear he's got plans of a book, and things like that.
What's up with that rock album they keep talking about?
I don't know if that's going to come
out.
I
don't know, but I know the book is getting closer because that's why he's doing this expo with me.
October.
Actually, he's the headliner now, but originally, my brother and I are going to do the expo. I'm very happy he's going to do it. I think that's great. Yeah. And I know Ace has done a couple of other events at places where they've are thinking of approaching me, but Ace will stay out there and he'll stay valuable to the fans. But again, I mean, in the big picture, I mean, it's hard for me to watch Kiss, what I mean? Because I'm like, I'd like to be up there. Now, I have to say, I don't necessarily miss being up there as an Ace Frehley. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Even though Tommy certainly handles it perfectly.
Yeah.
But he's not Ace. You know what I mean? And
pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah,
does a good job.
But in a way, I might have been pooping on my 12 years, if you get what I'm saying.
No, yeah,
totally.
Because you had your own persona.
Yeah, because
in that
I mean,
band.
you're Bruce Kulick, and no knock on Tommy Thayer, and I say this as a Kiss fan, and it comes from the heart. To me, I think it would have never worked with you.
It wouldn't have worked as well.
Because
now, if they were just moving forward with it and not just basing the majority of what they're doing as to like what Kiss started as, it might have worked. But I still would be, the spaceman, whatever. Awkward and odd. And I mean, it's great that Kiss is doing new music because that's important, and it shows that they're carrying on and they're very comfortable with Tommy and Eric. And I know they are. They get along great.
Right.
I had a wonderful time at Irvine at the show.
Yeah, I heard you went and saw them.
And then not only is great to see them and I'm friends with Motley Crue, especially Nikki. So that was really cool.
Sure.
In fact, when Eric first ran into me, he saw me and my girlfriend hanging out with Nikki. And Eric goes like, I said, I need some water. And Eric goes, all right, I'll be right back. And then he gets distracted easily, Eric, And then Nikki goes, I'll get you some water. You know what I mean? It was kind of funny. And then, of course, Eric comes back with a couple of waters, but I'm holding Nikki's water. Right. It was funny. But we all hung out together for a little bit and took some pictures. And everybody was great. And I got to admit, I mean, I couldn't stay long for the Kiss thing, but they did sound well, really good. They looked amazing. The show is just... That's some bang for your buck. For a show. I definitely recommend it. But I was just petrified. Am I going to get wet if I watch Motley? I kept bugging the guys. But
don't sit near the front.
It's only in the front. It's only the tickets that Gene got me were further back. Well, most of the guests were. They know to keep them back.
Out of the
but
danger zone.
What a great show! And I ran into so many cool people, and it was fun. So, I have that great relationship with the band. I don't know if, an Ace or Peter would actually go to a show, you know what I mean?
Probably not.
But it's great. And it's kind of funny when the people post on Facebook, oh, you should have gotten up there and played. I'm like,
well,
let me see. They're like 7 feet tall with the boots and the makeup.
But here,
introducing Tiny Tim.
But one thing,
I
was telling somebody I was going to talk to you, and one friend brought up an interesting thing I didn't think of. How natural would it have been to have had a Union reunion opening for this tour?
Well, how about when Union existed? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
but I mean, Kiss and Motley, and then
they needed a Kiss and Motley, and the opening act are a really fine bunch of young lads from England. The Treatment, who I know the people who managed them, and Nikki was a fan, and Gene really liked them too.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny that I heard all about them even before the tour started. And the old Kiss manager that manages the Treatment, Larry Mazer, who I'm still in touch with, he actually asked me, he knows I know Nikki, he said, please thank Nikki for me, because he doesn't know Nikki, So I asked Nikki, how did you find the Treatment and all, and we were talking about, I love those guys, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, the point you're making is not about a reunion of Union to go on that bill. It would have been a lot more valuable back in '98 during our first record.
And I don't know why.
But that was still the era of unless you can pay to be on the bill.
Yeah, the pay to play.
And as much as we had a label with a decent record budget, we did, which would be a huge amount of money now if we got. We weren't in this position of tour support to be able to say. And to be honest, as much as I get what you mean, and I would see how that could work, or the fans would like it. I'm not so sure that it was that comfortable in Kiss's mind. Same thing with Ace.
Right.
You haven't seen Ace open for them. You know what I mean?
And you probably won't. Well,
no.
Yeah, and on that, on that subject, I always read this thing about, there's been talk about, like, back around the Hot in the Shade era, that there was this stuff going on behind the scenes with them possibly trying to get some reunion thing with Ace and Eric going on.
Well, there was always times when the dialogue happened, and of course, mostly hidden from me, which was fine. I didn't need my brain, scrambled about those kind of distractions. But yes, I really do believe there were times where that was talked about, but just didn't come together, and it really took a bigger thing to become the catalyst. And the bigger thing was, of course, MTV Unplugged. I mean, Revenge was a little bit of a letdown for the band, even though it was one of the best albums the band ever did.
Absolutely.
But it didn't sell even though it was gold, it should have been even bigger.
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah. Right.
But radio was changing, the whole business was changing. And then that's why it was time for a Live 3, and then it was time for a convention tour, which was kind of radical, because Gene and Paul were very well aware that sometimes 1,000 people would show up at a convention.
Yeah.
Without them. You know what I mean? So let's do a high ticket thing, perform, meet and greet. You notice now at the meet and greets they're performing. They're doing
I
acoustic
saw that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't allow them in for the sound check because of just the bill and the venues. So they wound up turning it into something a little different, which as long as those people are happy, that's great.
Okay.
But the convention tour got MTV interested, but MTV, who was still the 800-pound gorilla then, not so much now, forced the issue of like, well, we'd love to do this, but we want to see a reunion.
Right.
So then all of a sudden the dialogue with Ace and Peter, who were extremely motivated or happy to want to give it that shot that always could have happened. And if you think about it, just like Star Wars, the 20 years on kind of thing.
Right.
It was time.
Yeah, it was.
It was 96, and they came out in 73, so it was over 20 years already. Just like Star Wars went away for a long time, remember?
Yeah.
Right.
Even like what's the movies with Harrison Ford? The Raiders of the Lost
Indiana
Ark.
Jones,
That went away for a long time too, and then all of a sudden it comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
James Bond.
Sure.
I really look at it like that. Those cycles. There are certain bands that you wouldn't be that interested in a reunion 5 years after,
Probably
or 10,
not, yeah.
or maybe even 15. Then all of a sudden you bring it up in 20 years, and you go like, that would be awesome.
Right.
It's just it's pop culture.
It gets
it's
better
the way
over
it
time.
goes.
Yeah.
So it was the right time.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, folks. Yes, indeed. You're listening to the Decibel Geek podcast. We're talking to Bruce Kulick today, of course, from Grand Funk Railroad and Kiss fame. But we're going to take a little halftime break right now. A week or so ago, we'd mentioned about an opportunity for you guys to come hang out with us, hang out with the guys from the Decibel Geek podcast. And today we're going to talk to Mark, and he's going to tell us all about the Nashville Comic and Horror Festival coming up on October 6th and 7th at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds. Mark, how's it going?
What's going on, guys?
We're excited, man. We're excited to be making an appearance at a show that's got so many big stars and big names going to be at it. And we're hoping you can give us a quick rundown of everybody that's going to be there.
Well, this is the event. If you're into comics and horror in Middle Tennessee, this is the place to be at. From the horror side, we're starting off with the icon, Ernie Hudson. You know him as Zed Moore from the Ghostbusters.
Heck
He
yeah.
was also in Crow, Oz. Saturday, he's going to be in the Ghostbusters outfit.
Oh,
for
wow.
photo ops and all that, which
That's
is
cool.
a rarity for him. So,
Very cool.
and then it's Halloween time, so I got to bring in the zombies. I'm a zombie nut.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron
we're
here is too.
Me
We're
too.
going old school with 4 original cast members from the original Night of the Living Dead from 1968. Then we're flipping it. The hottest show on TV is The Walking Dead. We're bringing 13 cast members in from The Walking Dead, not just zombies. We got some of the humans coming in, and this will be their first appearance anywhere.
That's really cool because Walking Dead, you're right, it's the hottest show on TV. I love it. I know so many people love this show.
And we'll do a big Q&A with them because the show will start that following weekend.
I can't
Then we're
wait.
throwing in Lynn Laurie from the original The Crazies. We're throwing in Marilyn Gigliotti from Clerks. We had Brian O'Halloran here, Dante, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So now we're bringing in his girlfriend to get those posters signed by both.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is the line going to be limited to 37 people for her?
37, we stop it,
Okay.
but then we start it over again.
I want to be one
Awesome.
of the first 37.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
One or two.
But yeah, and you've got a lot of great artists. Who are some of the artists that you got coming in?
We're bringing in a lot of guys that's working on the new books coming out. So we've got like Jason Craig, who's doing the brand new Evil Ernie book from Dynamite. Jonathan Gilpin is working on the brand new 52 Batman. LeBlue Underwood is working on the brand new Nightwing. They go old school with Gary Furrick, the creator of Ghost Rider. You might have read about all his legal battles with Marvel over the movies and all that. He's going to be at the show, so help him out by helping him get those guys and give him the money he deserves. We got the hot chicks coming in. We got
I want to know
Playmates.
about
We got
this.
pinned-up models. Everybody likes those.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to
We got to make it a little rock and roll, so we got to bring in the hot chicks.
That's right.
Of course, yeah. And
Well, you got the Decibel Geek podcast and you got the hot chicks. It goes hand in hand, right?
yeah.
Hand in hand. You can't say one without the other.
Absolutely.
If you're a headbanger, you can definitely have some fun with us. There's going to be some other great podcasts and our friends in the PWA show and another podcast called The Show are going to be there. We're going to be recording stuff all day long, so you can actually come down and you might even get on the air with us if you play your cards right.
I want to remind everybody out there, it's coming up, Nashville Comic and Horror Festival. That's the Tennessee State Fairgrounds, October 6th and 7th. I know Crossfire Wrestling is going to be there again this year. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, Crossfire will be there.
Of course.
The new heavyweight champion, King Shane Williams, will be popping in.
That's
I
right.
don't know who all is coming from Crossfire just yet, but we'll have a big group of them. So it's just $10 to get in on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we do it for $5 admission.
That's a great
So
deal.
that way, nothing can keep you from coming out.
That's right, and we will be on location on that Saturday, and we'll be recording from 10 to 6 o'clock, and then come back on Sunday and see all the stuff that you may have missed on Saturday.
Yep, come down and see the Decibel Geek podcast, Ernie Hudson, and everybody else that's going to be there. Once again, Nashville Comic and Horror Festival, Tennessee State Fairgrounds, October 6th and 7th.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you there. Comic City TN's website. Hit that. You'll see everybody.
All right, now we're going to get back to our talk with Bruce.
Well, on those early 90s tours, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone ask you this in an interview or any member of KISS, what was going on with the lighted KISS logo? What was up with the crooked K? The K was kind of off.
I didn't even know the K was off.
Wow.
Maybe we didn't
I'm too
have
much
a very
of a
good
nerd.
crew.
Okay, but when it would come up like during I Want You on the shit, I remember seeing it, and you guys used it on the not so much on the Revenge tour because it's more in Europe. You used the lighted logo, but the K was kind of off.
Now, do you think it was built awkward, or it just wasn't hung?
No, it was
properly?
built awkward.
Now you're just saying the way the letters were.
It just you'll have to. I'll send you a picture.
Okay.
But I mean, this is
You know
me
what
being a
might have been
complete
built? I'm
geek.
telling you, it might have been built just to not look like the official K because of like Germany,
Yeah.
and things like that.
Well, because diehard fans have been arguing over this for years.
yeah, no, I wasn't that aware about it.
Common,
The Asylum
things that
one looked
people
right,
think.
right? The
Well,
big
most
giant
people
one.
think they call it the ugly K, but I just I remember when it came up and I was like, something's wrong with that K.
Right, I get you.
But this
I'll have
is
to
me.
look
This
at
is
that.
me being a diehard
Yeah.
picking it apart.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah. I wasn't aware of it. I'm glad
But
I
yeah.
didn't know. I would have been embarrassed every time.
Well,
Clearly, the show can't go on. And
now,
Yeah.
now I feel bad about bringing this out in the
No,
open.
I'm anything about it, especially my era. I'm fascinated. by it, so it's okay.
yeah. And as I was telling you before we set up here, I discovered Kiss, during your period. Crazy Nights was my first album, and then my first tour was Hot in the Shade.
Right.
The second one was Revenge, and then I was going to ask you about this. Do you remember coming here to do the Gibson 100th guitar
Yeah. I
anniversary?
just mentioned it to my buddy Wes, and
That was an
he didn't know we played
amazing-
here. Yeah,
amazing
it was a good gig.
show.
Yeah, we was also on a barge.
Yeah.
and I was being a little more Gibson specific during that show, even though I would, I play a lot of guitars, but I had ESPs. But
Yeah.
I figured, well, there's the owner of the
Yeah,
band.
you all played Gibson
of the
that
company.
night, yeah.
So we were playing some Gibsons.
Yeah.
That was a good gig. We were doing these one-off things. We weren't in tour mode, shall
Right.
I say, but we did a radio show like in a few different places, and they'd be like that, like a festival kind of thing-ish thing. But that's it. That I do remember that gig.
Fantastic
It's
show.
interesting.
One of the best
Good.
Kiss shows I ever saw, and there was like
Was it ever on video?
No,
I
yes.
wonder.
Yeah, there's a DVD.
I might
floating
have
around
that
of it.
somewhere. I might have that one.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It's very good. And then and you guys didn't play Rock and Roll All Night, which was like rare for a Kiss show.
Yeah, I guess so.
You ended with Heaven's on Fire.
Okay.
But I'm filling you in.
I
on
remember
all the stuff you did.
my tech was petrified that I was playing a 56 custom. It wasn't all original.
Yeah.
That I picked up a few years before that tour, and it wasn't always the best behaved guitar, but what a great sound.
Yeah.
But he was petrified about it. It's not going to stay in tune. Don't make me tune this one up for you.
Right.
It worked fine.
Yeah,
We did good.
very cool.
I think tonight's gig's going to kind of maybe feel like that on a barge on the river. and
Oh,
everything.
really?
That
Yeah,
might-
you're playing at the same spot.
Yeah, that's what I had a feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the exact same place you played the Gibson show.
There you go.
So we talked to Whit Crane from Ugly Kid Joe recently. Now you tell me. I don't know if this would be more of a Gene question or whoever organized the Revenge tour. He claims, you remember they put out an album called America's Least Wanted with Statue of Liberty flipping the bird?
Yeah.
He claims that you guys ripped them off with that thing on the stage.
That's possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do know that. I mean, I used to hear criticism about, isn't that too close to the Metallica thing or something like that?
Oh, yeah, that's
but
Justice for All.
again, something like that you can't, copyright exactly.
It's the
So
Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, how could you copyright the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah,
Gene would do it if anyone could do it. But
If anyone could do it,
and probably Ugly Kid Joe couldn't do it as big as that. But
Probably
you
not,
see things, and it doesn't matter that it's a. I remember there was a band that I worked with back in the late '80s that had a song called X Marks the Spot or something, and then all of a sudden there's Who Put the X in Sex? You know what I mean? That Paul comes up with that title. You get what I'm saying?
That's a classic among classics,
so,
right?
Whatever. Yeah.
I know not your favorite track by Kid.
No, it's okay. I think he was just a little too influenced by what Pop and Desmond and some of the other music. But
sure,
You Make Me Rock Hard, I didn't mind. In fact, I've done that live, which is pretty rare. I did it in South America.
Yeah, I like that you pull out a lot of the rarity stuff.
Well, I want to feature my era, of course.
Yeah, I saw a clip of you in Australia you did a whole Crazy Nights medley.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
My band down there, they're fanatics, and they wanted to do Sword and Stone. I said no.
Oh, I'd love to hear.
Well,
that
actually,
live.
we did like a tease of it once.
Right.
We would start just the beginning chords.
Yeah.
But why play it? It was never released.
It really should have been put on
the
Crazy
Kiss
Nights.
fans, I think, would light
Neverson,
up
I know,
and
but Neverson didn't
He
really
didn't like
want it.
it.
The bootleg's out there, but
Yeah.
Well, a couple of people covered it. Not
Yeah,
that I
Paul
really
Dean
made
did
any
it from
money.
Loverboy. Yeah, I remember that. Now, there was the transitional period in '84 when you were coming into the band and Mark St. John was still struggling to try to play live. Now, what was the vibe like at these shows? I mean, it must have been kind of strange. Like, did you get along pretty well with Mark, or was there tension between him and Gene and Paul at that period?
No, I mean, I really took the high road and looked at him as like, okay, well, he's out here. This is awkward. Let's jam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'd warm up backstage, and then they had him first kind of keep an eye on the show and understand what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Then they asked him to do like the first half of the show, and so that's kind of odd.
Yeah.
But then they had him to do the second half of the show. No one's completely clear of this, but I'm pretty sure of this. Okay. And then they had him do a full show.
Right.
And then they sent him home.
Yeah.
That was it.
Was it
So
acrimonious between Paul and Gene and him at the time?
Yeah, I don't think there was any issues. They just look. I had the home court advantage, and I kind of always felt that. But I think they felt either contractually or emotionally towards Mark that they had to give him a shot.
Right.
That's all.
Sure.
I'd like to do a name association thing. I'll tell you a name. You just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
All right.
Andrea True.
Sex. No.
Most people would give that answer.
Yeah, I know.
Andre Augustine.
Big black dude.
Tommy Thayer.
Good ace guitarist.
Yeah.
Michael Bolton.
Talented guy I miss.
Yeah.
Because I used to be real close with him,
Still don't stay in contact?
I a little bit,
Yeah,
but
a
not the way I would hope. You know what I mean? He's working with some people that I know.
Oh, really?
So he always says to tell him hi. I go like, he can call me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or whatever.
Toby Wright.
Had dinner with him last night.
Oh, you did?
Had
Okay.
a good time.
Wonderful.
And Toby was always, that kind of hardworking dog engineer. You know what I mean? Like your big bulldog sitting there ready to do whatever you need.
Very cool. John Corabi.
My pirate brother in arms.
Right.
Yeah.
You going to see him tonight?
Yeah, he should be down there tonight.
Very cool. Eric Carr.
A very sweet, talented man that never should have, passed away so young. It was horrible.
Yeah, we had a long talk with Loretta on our show a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was great.
Don Johnson.
I never met him. I just did the session. Someone hires me. I'm guitar to hire.
I had to ask that one.
Yeah.
Don Brewer.
Don Brewer, incredible drummer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Very cool.
I never have to wonder where the beat is when I'm up there.
Okay,
it's a good feeling.
And I know you mentioned in an email recently that you were going to be visiting friends while you're here. I got to wonder if you're going to visit Vinnie Vincent while you're here.
Vinny, I will say is the gifted. eccentric guy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I could say. No, but I won't be visiting.
You won't be visiting. Okay.
And I don't think he's visiting anyone.
I don't either.
You live here. Why don't you do an interview with him?
Actually, I've tried.
Yeah, of course you've tried. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We've interviewed everybody
Talk about
else,
Howard Hughes. Or
I've interviewed lots of people about
it
it that have worked with him.
Yeah,
and he actually lives like one exit away from me.
I bet.
But no, he won't come out of the
He
house.
flies under the radar.
Yeah.
And my other interview guy today mentioned him quite a few times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But also has no contact. Doesn't
Somebody wanted me to.
It grows his legend in a way. You think about it.
It
If you're not
does.
accessible, then everyone's.
Yeah. It's better if he doesn't talk to anybody.
Maybe
Yeah.
he'd have to, talk about a lot of things that maybe he doesn't want to talk about.
Because here I am bringing him up to it.
But when he does make a statement, I got to say he does it very, very well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even when he responded to that whole crazy dog stuff or whatever
Mm-hmm.
went on,
Yeah.
he is very eloquent with how he wants to make a statement.
Yeah. He puts
I don't know if he
thought
does
into
it on his own or he's got a lawyer helping him, but whatever. He certainly knows how to make his case heard
Right.
on his terms.
Yeah, and I know you've been asked about the whole Unholy solo thing, and now it's obvious it's you on the solo there. But then somebody wanted me to ask you if you know of alternate demos that Vinny may have played a solo on.
Well, the demo that Gene gave me when he did it had no leads on it.
Okay.
And the only thing that I could have thought of, because I've done a lot of revenge discussions in the past year because of it being 20 years, is like I did not play, although Gene said he played, but he could have been lying too. But Gene could have done this.
Right.
That intro thing where you're just hearing scratching guitars and
That
stuff.
could be him.
That sounds creepy. That could be Vinny. It could be Gene. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I could see Gene maybe covering, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
I could have my dog do that,
Yeah.
Anyway, but you get what I'm saying, it's a scratching guitar. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he ever said, and if he did play a solo on a version, I've never heard it.
Right.
And it was never presented to me, And I mean, look, Unholy is a great song, and it was a blessing that Vinny wrote that with Gene. But I really feel like I put my stamp on the song.
That
too.
was
for sure.
one of your biggest highlights. As far
And there were
as I'm
certain
concerned.
turnarounds, and again, I'm not trying to say I rewrote the song.
Yeah.
When someone writes a song and then just kind of like contributes some clever turnarounds, which it means like how you'll end parts in the verse, in particular what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That Gene and I worked on together. I'm not a writer, but I was involved in making that song really work. You know, and Ezrin was of course a big part of it too, especially the big. Monster walking bridge or Frankenstein bridge, I call it, with the odd time signature and all that. So it's a great track, and it set a great pace for what was my favorite Kiss album.
Speaking of Ezra, are you going to see him while you're here?
No, but we know each other,
Okay.
and I'm very fortunate that actually his cousin is the producer of BK3.
Oh, really?
Jeremy, So,
Oh, very
So
cool.
we cross paths sometimes. I've actually bumped into him at airports and things, and he's been very, he's like an icon in the business of producers and songwriters too, and he's doing less producing and more just like doing a lot of various things in the music business that I find pretty unique. But I think he's just one of those real special people in the industry that's like a professor of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Who's touched a lot of really, really important albums of our generation.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier how Peter's book's coming out. Ace had a book come out. When is your book going to come out?
I mean, I looked at, and I did have a guy write. We wrote almost like 24 chapters, but I kind of got a little like, And I feel like my story is still being written.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that enthused. I did talk to some business people about it when we were putting it together, and this is like 10 years ago already.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them just wanted something, like The Dirt. Now, I was never a drug addict, or I don't have that kind of background as an individual.
Sure.
And it's not to pass judgment on anybody that has been wild and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, I couldn't do that, and I wouldn't throw Gene and Paul or Kiss under the bus.
Sure.
And I still think I have interesting stories. So of course, those people that would have been the ones to really pay some money, were like, no, not interested. you know what I mean?
They want the
I mean,
trash.
Dirt sells. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you have a Marine, Navy SEAL now tell about this Osama bin Laden story? You hear about that in the news?
Yeah.
They're not supposed to talk about anything.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
But
that's
I
what
got to think
sells.
that money talks, and he just said, like, screw it, it'll be a pseudonym. His name's going to get out there, and someone's going to, hit him hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I would
mean,
think.
it's a great story. No matter, if every detail is given or not, but this guy's like telling you like he was in the room and all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, again, I had no intentions. I know if I was Mr. Bitter, crazy, and angry and a wild card, I could have written a pretty exciting book that probably would have sold well, but it's not my style.
Yeah,
that ain't cool.
And it's not true. It's not what I would do. You know?
Right.
It's not my experience. You know?
Is you know, there's your solo work BK3, which I absolutely love.
Thank you.
It's a great album.
Wonderful album.
Thanks.
Is there any plans for Grand Funk to record anything?
You know, Don and Mel have always had this kind of view of the band that they just love doing this live thing, you know, and they realize that is probably a project that maybe they don't feel like it will have the kind of returns in their minds, business and emotionally, to do it.
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of talent in the band, so we could do it. But again, in the same way, and I know I always talk about how, well, when were you given really a voice in Kiss? You know, and I didn't say too much for quite a while.
Right.
You know? I mean, I was happy to be there. By the time we got into the studio to do like Asylum, for example, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? I wasn't like trying to exert and I know that that's the right thing, especially it was Gene and Paul's band.
Sure.
And it's the same thing with Don and Mel. You know, it's not for me to nudge them, to prod them to, come on, let's record, let's do this. Right. We do some new songs in the show, and we don't have to record them as long as they fit in the set. Mm-hmm. And this way, we're not completely a tribute band, if you get what I'm saying.
Right.
So we're still what I consider, you know, a new take on Grand Funk, but firmly, you know, of course, presenting all the hits and what's important. Yeah. But it's really going to have to be their desire to do that before and I'll be there for them like I would in any situation. Yeah. To help along. So.
Too, and nowadays the way things are with like iTunes and you know being able to get that too, you know, like ZZ Top just released a EP just for the heck of it, you know. It's available.
It's getting easier and easier, or more and more major bands that could do the label thing and the whole thing. Yeah, are doing more unusual ways of putting out a record, you know. But again, unless you have that desire and need to, you know, I can't. I'm not going to try to convince them what to do. Right. You know? I'm just happy that we seem to keep opening new and more markets, and the band keeps going over. You know, and we all get along and enjoy doing what we do.
Wonderful.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
That's really all I had. You got anything?
I mean, this is cool, man. We're sitting here with Bruce Kulick. Yeah. I mean, I remember, I've got to dig it out somewhere. Back in like the 90s, you were in Union and touring around, and I was up in central Wisconsin at that time. You guys had come to town with Rat and I think Vixen right before.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I'll have to dig it up and play it for you. This was like what 10 years ago now. This is Bruce Kulick. You're listening to Aaron David.
I did a little.
Very cool. I got that on a cassette somewhere. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, we struggled, but we did a lot of good gigs, I got to say. And especially the Midwest. I know if Union was based, let's say, out of Indianapolis or something, you know, who knows? We might have still been together, if you get what I'm saying. Right. Because there would have been enough work, you know, that would have been really, you know, encouraging for us in like a 200-mile radius. You know? Right. But L.A., it was like, whatever, you know. You know what I'm saying?
It's a sea of competition.
I was watching that Nova Rex thing the other day, and I'd never even heard of Nova Rex, but they had basically tried it out. They started in Canada, tried it in Florida, tried it in L.A., and ended up just becoming like the Indianapolis house band.
There you go.
Yeah. You know, and they made a long career out of it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I'm very fond of a lot of the Midwest shows, and I met a lot of Kiss fans that were very supportive of Union that I'm still friends with. And then of course many of them, you know, enjoying Union. I mean, enjoying Grand Funk, and came out to support that. So that's the great thing about the whole Kiss, or all the Kiss years, is just you know, I'm still part of the family. When they shine, it still affects me, and that's good. But what I'm trying to obviously do with all those people that are fond of my era is just to remind them that they do know some Grand Funk shows and they'd love the show. Yeah, right. Just last week we played in the Poconos, and I had a couple of people from Philly, but or rather from Pennsylvania. But one of them is a guy that he's involved with that Kiss Expo in New Jersey that's coming up, and the other guy, you know, enjoyed the show, but he just was like, I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. You're so featured. Oh my God, you play a solo in every song. That was great. You're featured more than Kiss. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? It was like interesting to see that reaction from him. Right. Because I'm like, what do you think? I'm like standing behind the keyboards or something? Right. And you know, obviously they're going to use me if I'm in the band. You know, I love to play guitar. I know how to perform. Yeah. And if you think about it, Don and Mel, you know, Mel's not the guy that's going to go crazy on stage. He never was, but what a sound he gets. And he's that guy with all that tone out of that, bass and all. And then of course Don's a monster on the drums still, and he's wild, but he's on a drum kit behind the stage, except for the back of the stage, except for some kind of wonderful when he comes forward and sings. But it's up to the other guys to put, to be the showman.
Sure.
So that's Max, me, and Tim is playing his keyboards, and he's always looking happy and all. But I have a lot of room there, and I'm not competing with Gene and Paul.
Exactly.
Right? So I can enjoy myself. And,
Exactly.
I mean, the only thing that keeps me a little busy is my pedals, because I got to have my sounds. I got to paint my tone, shall I say. But the show's very exciting, and I'm wishing that more of the Kiss family that follows me, would make the effort to come see Grand Funk. I think they'd really love the show and they enjoy it. No, you're not going to see lasers and bombs and and all of that.
But you'll see Bruce Kulick.
But you'll see me, and you'll hear some good time rock and roll.
Songs,
and that's what it's all about. Everybody enjoys the music.
And it's cool to see you talking about it. I can tell that you're real happy with it.
Oh, always. I mean, it would really be a sucky gig if I didn't get enthused about it.
Sure.
The only thing crazy for us, we do a lot of outdoor shows, and you never know what it's going to be like.
Right.
But even those guys, I mean, with the Kiss and Maui tour, they're doing some of these cities, and it's 106 degrees.
Yeah,
out,
I don't know.
I
don't know how they're getting through some of those shows.
You do it with a lot of adrenaline, and you're making the big bucks, so shut up and play.
Yeah, there's a lot of money on the
hydrate
table.
And deal with it. You know what I mean? But we were always fighting elements, and it was cold last week. Tonight will probably be warm, and there'll be mosquitoes around. Whatever.
Oh yeah,
but we'll do what we got to do.
Plenty of mosquitoes.
Yeah,
there'll be plenty of fans out there too. I think.
It
should
be
barbecue
good.
World Championships going on.
Yeah.
I know. I have some friends that are goofing with me.
Welcome to the South.
Can't wait to eat some barbecue, huh? Which is not one of my easy foods to deal with.
Oh really?
So, yeah, not for me.
Oh okay.
No, I'll be at the deli later down the block.
Gotcha. Oh okay.
But hopefully the weather will hold up and it'll be great. Everybody will have a good time. That's what it's all about.
I want to welcome you again to Nashville and thank you for taking some time to talk to us.
All right. Thank you guys.
All right, what a great way to spend episode number 50 here on the Decibel Geek podcast, hanging out with Bruce Kulick. Chris, you really earned it today. You earned the Decibel Geek name. You really, truly did.
I did.
What is up with the Crooked K? I mean, I'm a Kiss fan too, but I don't know nothing about that.
Oh, you just have to look at pictures. And I'll send you the same picture that I sent Bruce, because I emailed Bruce about a week ago. I still haven't heard back, but I even made like a little collage showing showing the reunion tour.
That's the funniest part of all. I even made a little collage.
I know.
That's awesome.
It's got a collage of like the reunion tour logo, the Crazy Nights tour logo, and then two of the Ugly K logo.
Huh.
And I sent it to him, and I said, this is what I was
Compare
talking
and
about.
contrast.
Let me know what you think. And he hasn't responded.
But when he wrote compare and contrast, of course, they started with K's.
Right. But I mean,
email.
and I can't believe that, Bruce, I'm sure he's got
Wouldn't
plenty of
notice
time.
that.
Oh, I'm sure he has plenty of time to sit there and look at my collage of the Ugly K. But, he has nothing else
Well,
going
I'm talking
on.
about like at the time that he never even noticed it.
That did
but I guess
surprise
I never
me.
did either. So I guess, post that up on the
Yeah, I'll put it up in the show notes.
on the show notes so we can all check that out.
Yeah, but it was
Crazy
fun.
K.
It was fun talking to Bruce, and I hope that I asked some questions that people may not have heard answers to before, and
You did, man. You had it covered. I mean, like I said, it was like a day off for me. I just kind of hung back and watched you do your thing. It was great.
It was great having you there to do it with me, and so we were sitting there kind of starstruck. We enjoyed it, and would love to talk to Bruce again sometime, because of course the next day I'm like, I should have asked this and this,
right?
But
I was doing that about 5 minutes after we walked out the door.
Yeah.
I do that every time we interview somebody.
There were a few things I should have asked him about, but I think we had a good, enjoyable conversation that gives people a good idea what he's what's going on in his life these days.
Yeah, want to encourage everybody to check out Grand Funk Railroad as they tour around pretty much nonstop. These guys are out all the time, all over the place. Of course they're not Kiss.
Right,
but
some
they're
great
still,
70s rock.
Yeah, 70s rock. I mean, they're a great talented band. Of course, Bruce Kulick in the band, that makes it all that much better.
Yeah.
Give them a chance. Check it out.
Yeah,
it's always go see a live band, no matter who they are.
Sure, and for all things Bruce, just go to kulick.net, and that's got everything. That's got all the stuff that he writes, because he's he did a retrospective on the Revenge album not long ago.
Very interesting.
Did really good. He's told us that he's going to do more Kiss album retrospectives. So stay tuned for that. Those are really interesting to hear his take on that stuff. Yeah, tour dates. You can hear tracks off of BK3. Great solo album.
It really is good. We were just talking about that before. Nick Simmons on vocals on a track off of there. John Corabi takes over vocals for a song, and Gene Simmons is on there singing on a killer tune.
And also,
pretty awesome stuff.
One of my favorite tracks that you don't hear a lot of people talk about is what was the title? Oh, Dirty Girl.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like a great power pop song that has, the guy from the Knack. He passed away recently. That's terrible. I can't remember his name right now. Doug Feiger.
Yeah.
That's an awesome power pop song, and like that's one of those like songs I could hear Fountains of Wayne or somebody like that having a hit with.
Yeah.
So there's some fantastic songwriting on that album. So
a little
check out
bit of
BK3.
everything on there. Yeah. Highly recommended.
So yeah, hopefully Bruce will have some more material coming out soon. But until then, just go to Kulick.net for all things Bruce and tell him that you heard the interview with us and you liked it.
Absolutely. Yeah, always plug us. We love you for it. Well, that's going to about wrap it up for us for episode number 50, the big 50.
Yeah.
We did it. We're on to something here, I think.
We're over the hill.
We're committed. We are committed, or we should be committed, one of the two.
Well, both.
Well, here's to 50 more, so you guys stick with us. We got a lot of rock and roll, a lot of cool surprises coming your way.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you heard earlier your chance to come see us in Nashville coming up real soon, so check us out.
October 6th and 7th.
Yeah, check us out there, and I guess that's about it. Anything to add?
I think we're good to go.
All right. See you guys next week right here on the Decibel Geek Podcast.
Remember to check us out at dbgeekshow.blogspot.com, facebook.com/decibelgeek, and Twitter at decibelgeekpod. Also available for free on iTunes and Stitcher Radio.